You've then got Moxie's Underdome, which is a challenge arena. I hate Moxie's Underdome with a passion, and anyone who's played it will know exactly why I hate it. There are tournaments on the game, small tournaments where you basically do a round of enemies or a wave of enemies comes in, you kill them, that's it. Moxie's, oh no. It couldn't do that. It had to take it far. Too far. Unfortunately, even the small tournaments are too big. Each one of the small tournaments, and there's 3 of them, are 25 waves long. Now, things happen on these waves. Basically, you'll get to a point when it'll come up, you're only allowed to use assault rifles because all the other weapons are weak. That's bullshit. I want to first state how much bullshit that is, because all throughout Moxie, I only ever used my SMG regardless of it telling me not to, because my SMG was more powerful than my other weapons, because my proficiency was so high, my mod was so good, and my double anarchy was so good. So I could have the luxury of using that over any other weapon. And when it comes to elemental weapons, the elemental damage doesn't decrease, because otherwise what if you're using an elemental, like an incendiary machine gun and you're on an assault rifle round? Well, the elemental weapons don't decrease, so just use your elemental SMGs or whatever favourite type of weapon is. So it then goes through that. The enemies get harder, they get more health, they get bigger shields, they get tougher shields, they get regenerating health. You get health that drains, that until you kill an enemy, it doesn't come back, etc, etc. There are tons of challenges, and I apologise, I'm going to have to quickly go and answer the phone. So, where was I before I was interrupted by the guy who always complains at the amount of cuts that I put in the videos that he edits for me, aka my brother, so edit that one out if you can. Anyway, nothing much really actually left to say about Moxie, just that you've got those rounds like that, and it gets really annoying. So, what could you think of that would possibly make it worse? I know, making one that wasn't 25 waves long and 5 rounds, that was 20 rounds long and 100 waves long. They take about 8 frickin' hours, and there's 3 of them. They are evil, they're boring, you don't get experience for doing them, your weapons don't go up in proficiency, they are just, there's no point to them other than getting trophies, so unless you are a complete trophy hoard or in love with the game as much as I am, you won't be doing them, because you don't even get any decent rewards, because you basically get weapons, as you might have noticed, all over the place. You get them from killing enemies, you get them from crates, and in Moxie you get them from completing rounds. You kill a boss, because there's a boss on the 5th wave of every round, and the rounds are, the waves are actually themed as well. Like, you'll get a wave of a horde of enemies called the Horde Wave, surprisingly enough. And the waves are themed and that, and when you kill the boss you get weapons. However, the game is designed to be played in co-op, and it's actually designed for 4-player co-op, which you can't do split screen, as I've already mentioned. So going through them 2-player, the weapons you get are utter gash. You'll pretty much sell a lot of them, which is another slight complaint about the main game. When you complete missions you actually get weapons, and I don't think there's a single good weapon you get throughout the game. You get one on the DLC, you get new mods, because on Nox changed things up a hell of a lot. Nox basically increased the level cap, which I've already mentioned. Nox give us new mods as well for the characters, the professional mods, which I've again already mentioned. Professional mods are for all weapons, for all characters. They give you loads of damage or reload speed or stuff like that, a mix of both, and they're just really great. They're glitched, they don't work. You get them, they delete themselves, magically, they just disappear. So, needs a patch for that, because it's doing everyone's head in. I've had a fantastic mod for the soldier, I got it from my brother, told him about it, it was giving him the 61% damage I had with my SMG, but with all weapons, and then I switched it on to give him it, totally disappeared, really annoyed. So, it introduced those mods, it also introduced other mods. The Siren gets sniper mods now, some of those, so it's the one thing that the Siren really needed, to be fair, because I liked using snipers, but she wasn't very good with them, so now it's got sniper mods. The Soldier gets rocket launcher mods from the Berserker gets shotgun mods from the, obviously, the Soldier. You can see where this is going, so you'll probably be already able to guess that the Hunter gets Berserker mods. That's right, the Hunter, instead of getting SMGs, which the Hunter could have really done with having some sort of extra damage with a machine gun, because pistols and sniper rifles aren't exactly that great in rooms full of enemies. They tend to be slow rate of fire, very, like, powerful, but still not exactly good for clearing the room. So instead, the Hunter gets mods that can give it melee damage. Doesn't make sense, I know. Hopefully they'll give us more mods with the next DLC, and also a bigger level cap and stuff like that. Hopefully they'll also find a way to delete these level 70s. So here we go then, very quickly on with the duel system. I will mention that if you go into the options you can actually switch the duel requests off, because there are some people out there that will constantly duel, especially if you beat them the first time. They'll duel and duel and duel again, and it gets to the point that they'll even kick you from the game if you refuse to duel them. Dueling, you punch each other, that accepts the challenge, and then you do the duel. And this is my tactic with a siren, it's the best one, having the phase walk set to electric. You go blast, you go behind, you punch, that blasts again, finish off with a weapon. You can, if you practice with that, you can do it in about 2 seconds. Never lost a duel online purely because of that tactic. As long as you don't come up against a siren, then the other person's not going to be able to defend against it. If you do, then you have to be sneakier with a siren. So now onto the cars, because I've realised I've mentioned the cars, but I haven't actually mentioned more into them and shown them. So there's 3 car types thanks to Nox. There's one on the main game, which is this one here, the Speedster. It's just fast, it's pretty weak on offense and defense. You can get it in machine gun form on the turret nest or rocket launcher, unless you're on Nox, and then it's only rocket launcher. But you do still have a machine gun on the front of the car. If you're playing it 2-player and you're both in the car, one's the gunner, one's the driver, although the driver gets the machine gun at the front. If you're playing at 1-player, you do both, and you can hit X with the with the rocket launcher or the machine gun or anything, and that locks on for you so that you can just fire while you're driving along. And the reason I said homing is because then you've got the other car that was added, Monster. This does actually have homing rockets. It fires them out. You don't really need to lock on, but it does still help, to be fair, especially if whatever you're fighting's behind you. It'll fire homing rockets out. That's really cool. You've then got the final car, which is the Lancer. That was the Monster. The first one was the Racer. This one that I'm going to show is the Lancer. Now you can get the cars, all 3 of them, in 8 colour types, and everyone's obviously got their favourite. Unfortunately purple isn't on the game, so I'll pretty much go with yellow because I think it looks cool. The Lancer was the first car that was able to hold all 4 people. It's got all sorts of guns. You've got machine guns which can move, you've got an electric plasma type gun which can move, you've got a mine seat where you can chuck mines so that obviously if people drive over them then they'll blow up, but if you drive over them you don't blow up, and I'll show that very quickly just to prove it. You've then got, when it actually works and puts you in the right seat, you've got the blast seat, which basically, there we go, definitely on the blast seat, which basically does that and it blows things up underneath you, and it's just pretty cool. It's also obviously has a radius, so it hits you on the side, like hits things to your side. But there you go, driving over the mines. So that's the 3 cars then. They all control really well, they've all got different stats. The Monster is really good for power and pretty good on defense. The Lancer is pretty much a mix of everything. It's agile, it's defensive, it's offensive, but in all honesty, on the second playthrough it doesn't really matter what car you're in. 1 or 2 hits from the right thing will get you killed. So that's the cars then. So what is there left to say? Pretty much nothing, other than that graphically, as you can see, it's a kind of a cel-shaded comic book style. It works really well with the tone of the game. Music is pretty much limited to fights and cutscenes and stuff, and it works well with the game, but there's nothing too spectacular. However, there are some singles for credits and stuff which are pretty good, and that basically, if you love RPGs, you love FPSs, or you love FPS RPGs, or both, or anything like that, you need to try this game out, because even if you only love one part of the genre, I honestly think you'll fall in love with it like I and my brothers have.